YouTube? Tire Metalhead Weatherman here. Hopefully you guys are doing well. This one's going up very late for a number of reasons. It appears that downtown Atlanta and some of the surrounding suburbs decided to do road work all at once around the city today. So, yeah, kind of got burned by that. That being said, we are covering the atmospheric river that's going on out west because things are about to start to pick up today. Well, really from today onward, really into the middle to latter half of the week would be when we would expect the most precip, but we're already starting to see some precip coming on shore just from yesterday and today. This is from yesterday's totals leading all the way up towards about maybe in the wee hours of Monday morning. So far, the totals are light, but this will definitely be changing by the time we get into tomorrow. It would almost go as far as to even calculate that we've probably seen about maybe an inch or so of rainfall plus since then, maybe a little bit more in some pockets. And then also keep in mind this is also quantitative. I hope I'm pronouncing it right now because my brain's half shot. But quantitative precipitation here. So any of these areas up here towards the Sierra Nevada region, a lot of this is also snow right now. We'll also be seeing that on the rise as well. There was even less precipitation yesterday, so all this together right now, things are relatively quiet, or quieter, I should say. That being said, let's go to the models here and get an idea of what to expect here. We'll mainly start out with the temperature. There's nothing to really talk about on the severe side other than the events that are possible on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. There is a marginal risk in play, but nothing has really changed too much since we talked about those yesterday. So, main thing we're keeping note of is the cold air across the west because this is going to affect the kind of precip that we'll be seeing. Cold air is starting to sneak back in. Cold air is already set in place across the Dakotas, which is another area I'm going to be covering tonight. And then as time goes on, we'll see that those storm systems really moving north of the border. So a lot of people around Wisconsin and Michigan, you could see snow, but it's not going to be anywhere near as impressive as the last few systems. I'm pretty sure at this point a lot of you guys here are probably looking forward to that kind of break. We'll even make the comparison with the GFS here really quickly as well. Pretty much the same deal. Warm sector is a little bit more abundant with this, of course. That's mainly leaning more into the severe threat. Thursday's threat, by the way, doesn't look as impressive. Again, I'll talk about that more in tomorrow's video. But this one is going to be all about the wintry side of things. But again, a little bit colder with this setup here. Colder temperatures are existing across North Dakota in particular. We could even get into some negative temperatures for lows around Wednesday night into Thursday morning. And by the time we get over towards Friday, things are looking a lot better. We're only going to go about 90 hours out into this run. This will pretty much cover a good portion of the week here. Again, the temperatures are going to be coldest towards those high elevations around the Rockies. And, of course, we already know what's happening over here towards our warm sector. So, I guess really at this point, we'll start to move over towards the precip side of things. These storm systems aren't the most impressive things that I've seen, especially not throughout the season. We've seen some crazy ones, but you can see this this little bombed-out cyclone here developing already. And you can see widespread snow starting to stretch across the Rockies here, especially towards the southern half of the Rockies. But you can see that cyclonic flow coming into play here, and this is what's going to end up causing a lot of heavy rain across the west coast, unfortunately. We're just hoping for an end to this at some point, honestly. And then, of course, we see another low pressure that's hanging around the eastern half of the Rockies. It's going to get a piece of this moisture over here from this bombed-out cyclone. And on the north side of it, we could see some light to moderate snow and it'll really start to pick up as we move forward here into Tuesday night. We could see some considerable snowfall totals across North and South Dakota, especially more so in the North Dakota. but this will be a quick moving system, so the totals won't be super significant. But this will also be the trend for the, or also be the case, and really a trend for the next system here. It's going to be a quick mover. It's going to be in a pocket here where we'll see this start more so as snow and then just kind of move off and then maybe even switch over to rain at one point. And then as far as anything further to the east, we're going to be in a much warmer setup here. That rain snow line is going to be a little too far to the north here. So again, the snow is going to be north of the border here, really, at this point. These are more along the lines of, I would compare them to Clipper systems, even though they aren't. But the moisture and the cold air just aren't really meshing at well at a given point, or at least within these regions, they're not. As far as anywhere further to the north, there's a much better chance of that. But that's pretty much all we have for the week here, as far as precip is concerned. When we look towards Friday, we start to see that atmospheric river flow head more so towards the northwest, and that's what we're going to have to be watching from that point forward as we head towards the weekend, I should say. And then, of course, with the GFS, I didn't set this up properly, but we're just going to do the same thing. We're going to move up to about 90 hours out, get a little bit of model comparison here. We'll do a much longer range forecast tomorrow, but for the most part, it's a pretty similar deal. Moisture return is about the same, really, with these. There's pretty good confidence that this setup is going to lead to some pretty impressive snow over towards the Dakotas here. Interesting little setup right here, however, when we look towards the southern part of the Ohio Valley, just off the Missouri Valley, maybe even the Ohio River Valley. Could see a brief period of snow before it switches back over to rain. Again, main player is going to be this low pressure here that tries to develop. Won't develop in time for there to be significant snow towards the northeast, and it's also going to be moving in a track that this doesn't really favor any sort of development out for the northeastern states. Maybe a little bit of activity for Maine, but I think it'll be a little bit lighter in nature. It's an interesting little frame right there. Literally lost everything, including our cold isobars. We do see a little bit of cold air interacting with this storm system here, but I think for the most part the moisture is too far to the south to end up meaning much of anything there. Of course, we're going to be keeping an eye on the northwest towards Friday afternoon and into Saturday. But really, the most action that's coming from the wintry side of things are going to be from pretty much 3 low pressure systems. Really, this is the first one. The second one is our bomb cyclone, and then this will be our third one, which will travel further to the north here. Or actually, it's this one right here. It's going to be this one right here that pops up here. And then after that, we'll be watching this low as we head into Friday. So that's what we're looking like as far as snow is concerned. We already know the severe side. That hasn't changed just yet. I'm going to make update videos on that tomorrow, more or less. So far, the severe threat, I'm really starting to lean more so towards Friday. The parameters on Thursday, they're present, but I think they're not. I think the timing's going to be an issue between the two. I think that wind shear might become a factor in regards to that. I think the wind shear might be a little bit further ahead of the storm system itself, and we'll have a little bit weaker wind shear, which will be good news actually, because this will limit the severe threat. Again, we'll get into the details of that tomorrow. We're going to mainly be looking now from this point at the snowfall totals. Of course, out west, that's where we're going to see the greatest totals, especially towards the upper elevations. We do start to see a tiny little bit of activity out here east of the Rockies. And, of course, Nebraska could see a little bit of action here, too. We could even see small pockets here where we could get up to about 5 to 7 inches. I do think that this is a little bit overdone, of course, as it sometimes will be with the global models. Every once in a while, they'll be spot on this far out, but So right now, I would probably take about at least an inch or two or more out of this forecast here. And these aren't going to be all happening within the course of a day, just in case anyone is really thinking, oh my goodness, I'm going to get 6 inches of snow in 24 hours. Odds are you won't unless you're in the Rockies here. That's a lot more plausible. But as far as North Dakota, South Dakota is concerned, I would say I could see potential for 6 to 8 inches, but I would really say 3 to 5 seems more likely. Still could see a notable amount of snow across northern Minnesota here as well as Wisconsin, maybe the UP of Michigan, but we're mainly going to be seeing about 1 to 2 inches. You could even see less than that, but it'll be interesting to see what other models will show with this here. Again, with the snow to the northeast, mostly going to be stiff. The mountains to the northern Maine is where we could see the most action as far as that region is concerned. But beyond that, I'm not too worried for wintry precip this week. About a day or two ago, the model runs looked a little bit more impressive there, but we've started to really trend away with that with the lack of moisture returns. Here's a look at the Canadian model. Pretty similar deal. Snow tries to jog a little further to the south, but for the most part, it's staying consistent with the Euro here. And the GFS is actually a little bit further to the north here. Also has this small little pocket of snow try to develop here where we could see a heavy burst of snow towards south central Illinois here where we could see up to about maybe 2 inches possibly with that. It'll be interesting to see how that develops. And then we'll go ahead and take a look at the blend of models here. And we'll also take a look at the rainfall too. So again, pretty much a similar look across the board. This is the most in my opinion, the most realistic of all the forecast models because it blends all the info from forecast models together to come up with a happy medium, so to speak. So when we look towards areas like Nebraska, which was in play for some of the global models here, we could see up to maybe about a trace of snow, close to an inch in some areas. And then the further north you go, the snowfall increases, of course. 4 to 6 inches possible. That was about where I was predicting this model will go with it. And then really as the further east we get, the totals become a little less impressive. Even towards the UP of Michigan, we're seeing about maybe an inch or two possible there. And then, of course, widespread traces to about an inch of snow once you get south of Minneapolis here. More so towards the Twin Cities. And then, of course, over towards Maine, about 3 to 5, maybe even 6 inches possible in the mountainous regions. But outside of that, big winners is going to be the Rockies. Some areas could be seeing feet of snow. Is there really even a point in trying to talk about the exact number when we don't even know it anyway? Not to mention the fact that we've been seeing this happening over the mountains pretty much all the winter here. And really that's how spring looks like it's going to be starting. So that being said, let's go ahead and switch over to the rainfall real quick. So here is what we're looking like with the precip totals. Towards the west coast is where we're most likely to see rain. Of course, once we go towards the Sierras, that's going to switch over to snow. Of course, with the severe weather threat, the threat for flooding always is going to exist. So with Thursday's threat, big time flood threat does exist across parts of south central Missouri here. Heading into the Tennessee and lower Ohio valleys here, we could see up to about 1 to 2 inches. Some spots even getting up to 3 inches. Possibly. And then, of course, unfortunately, across the west coast, especially central to south central California, we could be seeing some pretty significant precipitation totals here. 3 to 4, maybe even 5 inches can't be ruled out at this point. And then, of course, towards the end of the week, we'll be watching the Northwest more as well. So this is what the Euro is showing. This is what the Canadian is showing. Actually, a little bit more conservative on the totals, which would be a welcome sight to see. Oh, wait, never mind. Let me backtrack on that because now I just saw something that showed 5 to 7 inches. These totals sometimes will be overdone. So that is one positive here. So let's hope that these outcomes don't end up being the case. We still have the blend of models to look at, so maybe there's some hope that it may not be as bad as what we're seeing with the Canadian and the euro here. The GFS is a pretty similar look, unfortunately. We're going to see a lot of rain from this still. But, and really at this point, any rain over these regions is insult to injury. But we definitely don't want to see anything along the lines of 5 to 7 inches or more. I think that would be catastrophic in this situation. But that's what the main three models are showing us right now. We're going to switch over to the blend of models now. And we still have some pretty impressive totals. We're still seeing about 3 to 5 inches. But we're not seeing 7. So that if there's any silver lining to be had there, I guess that would be it. Still some pretty significant totals across the Midwest here, heading towards the Ohio Valley, maybe even the Tennessee Valley as we head from Thursday into Friday. So that's going to be something to keep an eye on. And then, of course, the Northwest is going to have to be watched towards the end of the week and into the weekend. But that's all I got for you guys in this video here. I hope you enjoyed it. If you found it useful, you know what to do. Hit the like button. Subscribe if you haven't already. Share this video to anyone that finds this could find this useful. Anyone that could be in an area of interest, whether it's severe weather, snow, or any heavy rainfall. But that being said, I'll let you guys go for the night. This has been Ty, Metalhead Weatherman. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Until then, take care. Have a good night, and I'll see you soon.